Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
GSMC Football Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. And as always, I'm your host, Jesse Tapia. And shout out to Josh McDaniels for giving us something to talk about in the offseason, all right? What is it? Super Bowl's on Sundays. Today's Wednesday, so it's day 3 with no football, all right? And look at Josh McDaniels, like I said. Going out, creating some controversy, giving us all something to talk about on our football shows. All right. The guy told the Colts, at least it seemed like, yeah, I'll coach your team. And then a last minute says, just kidding. Forget the fact that you guys hired all these staff to come coach under me. I'm going back to be Bill Belichick's second-hand man. All right. So we're going to talk about that whole situation for the first segment. We're going to talk about the other guy who went through with his coaching job now with the Detroit Lions. We'll talk about Matt Patricia and that team. Talk about just pretty much make it a Lion segment. And then later on in the show, we talk about Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. I have some thoughts on it. And pretty much is Aaron Rodgers going to be a Green Bay Packer forever? So we'll be talking about that. And then for the fourth segment, as we always do, we'll talk about whatever's going through my mind as far as football goes. Maybe talk about today being signed today. Talk about the recruiting classes. Talk about that mom that for the 4-star recruit that committed to Florida. He committed to I saw it earlier in the video and I was like, really? So the guy he's choosing between Tennessee, Alabama, and Florida. He picks Florida and his mom gets up. She's wearing a Alabama shirt, I think it was, and a Tennessee beanie or hat. And she gets up and walks out on camera as right after the dude makes his pick. And I was just like, yeah, way to make it about yourself. But it was crazy. She got up. She didn't go around the back. She walked in front of the table, right in front of the camera, and just to make it known, yeah, I'm leaving. All right. So maybe we'll give some thoughts about that. Talk about parents who get too invested as to where their kids go and play football in college. All right. So we'll be doing that. But let's start off with this Josh McDaniels situation we got here. All right. So like I said, Josh McDaniels for a couple of weeks was supposed to become the Indianapolis Colts head coach. All right. He was talking about how after the Super Bowl it'd be announced. And you know what? Sure enough, it was. It was announced. Josh McDaniels was officially going to become the Indianapolis Colts head coach. All right, the Colts put out a tweet about it, put a nice little graphic with McDaniels on there, and got the little Colt logo on the back and stuff like that. All right, so yeah, Josh McDaniels at one point was, or at least it seemed like, was going to become the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Then you got Mike Florio tweeting out that McDaniels is getting cold feet. He's not sure what to do. No one's believing him. It's like the boy who cried wolf. And sure enough, a few hours later, Adam Schefter tweets out, I can't remember the tweet word for word, but tweets out that Josh McDaniels won't be taking the head coaching job for the Indianapolis Colts and will return back to New England to stay as the offensive coordinator. Crazy. I know, right? This is such a shady snake move from Josh McDaniels to do that. All right. Yeah, I understand. Got to do what's best for you and all that. But, I mean, the dude was supposed to become the Colts head coach. All right. The fact that they tweeted out a graphic means that there was an understanding, at least unless McDaniels was pretty much like, oh, I'm lying to you guys, but nonetheless, go ahead, do whatever you want. And there had to be an understanding between them that he wasn't going to become the head coach. You don't tweet out a graphic saying, oh, yeah, we've officially hired Josh McDaniels as our head coach unless the guy is going to become your head coach, or at least that's what you think. All right. And like I said, sure enough, there it was. Did not become the head coach. All right. And this is a bad move by McDaniels because you know what? I don't get it actually. I don't understand why you do this. Actually, I do understand. There's going to be some reasons I'm going to line up later on in this segment talking about it. But, I mean, the guy had the Colts go out and hire an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and the rest of the staff to work under him. All right, those people had to move their children, move their families out of wherever they were working to a different state to coach. All right? They were supposed to be coaching under McDaniels. That was their impression. Now, that's not going to be the case. Now, the Colts are going to bring in a whole new, entire new head coach, and I'm not sure these coordinators have jobs after this year unless it works out completely with them. All right, because the new coach, obviously, you bring in is obviously going to want to have his guys, but that's not going to be the case because the Colts have come out and said that we're going to keep the guys that we hired. And, I mean, McDaniels put the Colts in such a bad spot here. I mean, the ultimate snake move, all right? This dude's worse than Kevin Durant, if we're being real here. All right, because Kevin Durant, yeah, you can get mad at him for going to the Warriors, leaving the Thunder, but he didn't go back on his word or anything like that. He didn't do that. He didn't deceive a team and lie to them. All right? Josh McDaniels told the Colts at one point he had to have, oh yeah, all right, we got a deal. We'll become the head coach. All right? Because like I said, you don't go tweeting out the graphic that he's going to become a head coach. You don't schedule a press conference unless you have an understanding between the both. All right? And so, yeah, that happened, and ESPN comes out, reports that Robert Kraft had a meeting with McDaniels, gave him like a Godfather type of deal or whatever, and that's what changed McDaniels' mind. Also, that McDaniels is more comfortable in New England, wasn't really so sure about, pretty much got cold feet, all right? Didn't want to jump in the water. Didn't want to take over the big time, all right? So he did that. Now, what happens? Now, there's some theories as to why. Okay, let me tell you this. The Patriots have been in the news quite a bit lately, all right? The ESPN article, losing the Super Bowl, Malcolm Butler not playing in the Super Bowl. Malcolm Butler posted on Instagram pretty much saying he didn't do anything. It was just, Patriots just gave up on him. Tom Brady liking the picture, Tom Brady commenting on the picture, and then Josh McDaniels, all right? I've seen all the older talking heads talking about how this is like the Jet situation with Bill Belichick. All right. Bill Belichick was supposed to at one time become the Jets head coach once Bill Parcells was done there. And Bill Belichick pulled a fast one and headed over to New England. All right. This is what it feels like right here. McDaniels was supposed to go somewhere else, but now it feels like that he's going to be taking over for Belichick when Belichick is ready to retire. And I think that's what this is. All right. Yeah, I'm sure Kraft paid him a lot of money or whatever, but I'm sure Bill Belichick called him, told him, hey, you can go to Indianapolis or you can wait a couple of years and I'm going to retire. Then you can become the head coach of this team. All right, I'm sure Tom Brady was in his ear too, talking to him. I noticed that in the articles I've read so far and before all that Tom Brady and McDaniels have a nice little relationship they got going on. All right, so now, how many more years does Bill Belichick have? I think Belichick's coming back for this one more year, and then he's done after that. And then it's McDaniels and Brady for a couple of years, and then hopefully McDaniels will have his quarterback after Brady's done. All right, but let's say that Belichick isn't leaving anytime soon. All right, it's going to stay 3 more years. This is such a bad move by McDaniels if that's the case. I mean, what if Bill Belichick changes his mind? And this is all like hypothetical stuff, all right? No one's going to know the true reason why McDaniels left other than the little plain answer that ESPN gave us and the Patriots are going to give us and McDaniels is going to give us when he has to talk about it because he is going to eventually have to answer for this. All right, that's just how journalism works, believe it or not. So, like I said, I think that Belichick's going to be retiring soon, but like I said, let's go to the point. What if he is like, you know what? I still love the game. Don't want to retire. Sorry, Josh, I'm not retiring. Then McDaniels is made a really dumb decision and is going to be, how do you say, not out of a job, but stuck. Because let me tell you this, all right? Once upon a time, Josh McDaniels was a head coach at a team. That team was the Denver Broncos. Josh McDaniels did get rid of Jay Cutler so he could draft Tim Tebow, believe it or not. All right, imagine that. This was when Jay Cutler was promising. This wasn't, I don't care Jay Cutler. This was a Jay Cutler who, was pretty good. So he got rid of Cutler. He wanted Tebow. Got Tebow. Made the playoffs. Won a playoff game on a miracle play. All right. Then they got blown out by the Patriots, I think it was. And after that, pretty much didn't work out at all. So that was terrible. And now, in his second opportunity to get a head coaching job, he, very last minute too, says, "Oh, I'm going back to New England. Sorry you scheduled a press conference. Sorry you tweeted out that I was going to become the coach. I know we had an understanding, but I changed my mind." All right. That's not going to go over too well in the league. Executives aren't going to like that at all. All right. You got people, analysts, and all that stuff talking about how McDaniels is going to have a hard time finding a head coaching job if he already leaves New England. All right. He burnt quite the bridge with Indianapolis. All right. And like I said, people got friends. All right. Someone lies to my friend. I'm not going to really like it coming from the other person. All right. Someone lied to the Colts. I'm sure those Colts executives know people, and I'm sure those people that they know don't like the fact that Josh McDaniels pulled this fast one. All right. So it's either Belichick retires within the next 2 years, or McDaniels made a huge mistake. All right, and even here, I do think he's making a mistake unless, personally, I think waiting 2 years is still too long. I think it's got to be Belichick retiring this year after this season, and then McDaniels takes over. But who knows how it all ends up. All right, and there was people talking about maybe it's just because they don't know if Andrew Luck's going to be healthy or whatever. Chris Ballard came out and said that Andrew Luck's not getting a second procedure done on his shoulder, so it's pretty much just now wait for it to heal up and be ready. All right, so obviously no more surgery is kind of encouraging there, and I'm sure McDaniels had to have known that when he was interviewing for the job. All right, that's the first thing I'd ask. Oh, how's Andrew Luck doing? If Andrew Luck isn't going to be ready or is still going to have to go for another surgery, then I'm not coaching the Colts, but obviously that wasn't the case. Okay. So now, the Colts got to go out and find a new head coach and got to figure out a way to get a coach who could fit in with those coordinators that they hired, because obviously they said that they're not firing the coordinators, and obviously that's the right move to do since they got put in a bad spot. So, it's just a whole weird situation here. Yeah, personally, I think McDaniels didn't take the Colts job because Belichick told him, I'm done in a couple of years or after this year. All right, and even then, are we sure that Josh McDaniels knows how to run a team? Because he did it in Denver. That did not work out at all. All right. I get it's the Patriots, but you can only have Tom Brady for so long. All right. Let's say Bill Belichick retires, then you got Brady for 2 years. He retires. What's next? All right. Maybe you could draft a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, maybe, and have him come out after Brady. Oh, wait. No, they traded that guy. Maybe you're going to have Jacoby Brissett, who could play nice little efficient quarterback until you find you're the right guy, and then have him come in for Brissett. Oh, we traded him away. This is a kind of a situation that could blow up in McDaniels' face. All right? You're the guy who's got to follow in Bill Belichick's footsteps. All right? You're the guy who's got to follow in the dynasty. And if you don't win, they're going to eat you alive, that Boston media. Let me tell you. All right? I'm a Red Sox fan. I'm a Celtics fan. I read articles all the time. Boston media does not play around at all. So McDaniels better know what he's doing, and he better have a plan. He better hope it works out, because if not, dude is going to be done in the league. I'll tell you that much. All right, that's all I got to say about that. Next up, we're going to be talking about the Detroit Lions, talk about Matt Patricia, all right, and pretty much talk about just the Lions segment, all right? If you're a Lions fan, you'll enjoy it. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
GSMC Football Podcast. Talked about Josh McDaniels in that first segment. Talked about how it's his decision, so I can't really do anything about it. I can only just speak my mind on it, but how do you go and do that to a team? God, despicable. Nonetheless, how do you think Matt Patricia feels about it? Honestly, Patricia was going, all right. They knew he was taking a job with the Lions. You don't see Robert Kraft trying to set up a meeting to give Patricia Patricia a nice little bigger deal in order to keep him. They didn't do that with him. They just let him walk. Said, cool, have fun. Oh, McDaniels, though, we need you. Stay here. We'll give you this much money. I'm not sure if Patricia really has any hard feelings about it. I'm just talking pretty much my thoughts right now. That's all it is. This isn't like anything has been reported or anything like that. This is just simply my thoughts about it. But you got to feel something, right? It's just the human side of it. All right. I'm a guy. I'm working with another guy. We're working for a team. Me and the other guy are both going to get promotions for a different team. All right. Team lets me go. Yeah, congrats. Congrats on your new job. The other guy is supposed to get the same job. Oh, wait, no. We need you. All right. We need you to stay here. Maybe the Patriots just don't think that highly of Matt Patricia. Maybe. Or maybe they think that highly of, what's his name? Josh McDaniels. All right. But, again, I'm not sure how this, I shouldn't say that I want it to not work. All right. Because I don't like the way Josh McDaniels did this. All right. If he was already having cold feet, he shouldn't have had, and I know we're supposed to be talking about Matt Patricia and the Lions, but there's still more to be talked about with this whole little Josh McDaniels thing. I understand having cold feet, I get that, but how are you going to let a team go and hire offensive coordinators and defensive coordinator to work under you, and then you say, oh, thanks for doing that, but no thanks, I'm going to go home. All right, I don't want to be here. Such a cowardly move there. You got Tony Dungy. All right, you guys know Tony Dungy? He has a Twitter. Can you believe that? Yeah, so Tony Dungy has a Twitter. He tweeted out his displeasure. Let me see if I can see what Tony Dungy tweeted. Let me pull it up on my cellular device. All right, but yeah, Tony Dungy was not a fan of Josh McDaniels, and I don't think he ever will be. Tony Dungy was, I guess you could say, animated, if that's the right word. Let me see right here. Pull it up. Let's see. Tony Dungy. Okay, here he is. Let's see if he's got his tweets out there or deleted them. All right, so he only had one tweet. There's an article on Monday Morning Quarterback or whatever it's called, the site, about how the Sports Illustrated, it's on Sports Illustrated from the Monday Morning QB, or I think that's the little acronym name. But nonetheless, the article is about why did Josh McDaniels walk away, then talks about how he felt more comfortable than with the Patriots than he did with Indianapolis. Then Tony Dungy quotes the tweet and puts, again, this is a full quote of the tweet. I'm not changing anything or whatever. It's just word for word. I haven't read the article, but I can tell you there is no excuse, no in capital letters, big enough to justify this. It's one thing to go back on your word to an organization, but having assistant coaches leave jobs to go with you, then leave them out to dry is indefensible. For comfort, all right, comfort was in all caps, 2 question marks after that. End of quote. I agree with Tony Dungy, right? Very, very despicable move by Josh McDaniels. But, you got to be selfish in this life sometimes, and I guess that's what he did. But you better hope this works out, because the dude burned a lot of bridges by doing this. All right, like I said in the last segment, someone lies to my friend, I'm not going to like the person that lied to my friend, all right? Probably not going to trust them too much. I'm sure the Colts got friends, all right? I'm sure they saw it, and I'm sure they have thoughts about it. But nonetheless, there's that. And like I said, the whole Matt Patricia thing, I'm sure he's not losing sleep over it. Just something that came into my mind. But here we are. Matt Patricia. Shout out to him. The rocket scientist got a job, a head coaching job. All right. And he probably got the best job that was available, for being real here. Let's see. The Giants was available. Arizona's is available. Or Arizona's was available. I think they got their head coach. Can't remember exactly. Let's see. Tennessee had a job opening. The Colts had their job opening. Still do. Maybe Patricia says, oh, I did the press conference. I want to go coach the Colts now. Nonetheless, Yeah, so he's with the Lions now. I think that was the best possible place for him to go coach. All right. And I think I'm kind of curious as to see how this is going to work out. All right. One thing, like I was looking at some of the quotes from his press conference. The biggest thing that jumped out to me was that he's not really locked into a scheme. All right. He's going to try and fit a scheme that fits his players. He's going to play more to the players than he does having his players play to the scheme, if that makes any sense with what I just said. All right. He's going to play to his players' strengths. That's what Bill Belichick does, and that's what every coach in this league needs to do. All right. All those coaches out there that force players to fit under their scheme and to change the way they play don't know what they're doing. And yeah, I know. I say it all the time. I'm just a guy with a podcast, but it's true. These dudes are professional athletes. They're in the NFL for a reason. Play to their strengths. They know how to play the game of football. All right. For those that don't play to the strengths, it's part of the older guys that are past their time as far as coaching in the NFL, if we're being real here. All right. Guys like maybe Jeff Fisher, I don't know. All right, I got to stop talking about Jeff Fisher all the time. I almost feel bad for the guy now because, like, yeah, I talk about Jeff Fisher all the time, but, like, everyone talks about Jeff Fisher now. Like, I'm sure Jeff Fisher can't go on Twitter without seeing something about how Case Keenum, Nick Foles, and Jared Goff are thriving without him. All right, I get Jared Goff, Nick Foles, yeah, but Case Keenum, let's not put too much stock into him. He had one great year. All right, just one. Didn't even look good in that final game against the Eagles. Maybe he is a good quarterback, maybe not, but nonetheless, I mean, take it easy on the guy. All right, but for the Lions, I mean, now going forward, you still got to worry about the Packers, who we'll be talking about in the third segment, by the way. You got to worry about the Packers, the Vikings, what they're going to do, which is interesting, all right? What are the Vikings going to do? They got 3 different quarterbacks, all unrestricted free agents. You're going to franchise one and try and work out a deal with him? Maybe. Is it going to be Keenum? Is it going to be Bridgewater? Is it going to be Bradford? I doubt it'll be Bradford, so I think it's going to be Keenum. That's what I've been paying attention to what people have been saying. It's like Keenum is the name that keeps popping up. Keenum. Not Teddy Bridgewater. I see Stopgap and Teddy Bridgewater. And I've been seeing that together in the same sentences. All right? That's not good for him. But nonetheless, yeah, Lions got to worry about them. And you got to worry about a Chicago Bears team who made a bunch of nice little coaching hires, and they have a young team who just looking to improve. But for the Lions, you do have a top 5 quarterback on your team already. All right, Matt Patricia's already coming to a set team. All right, a set good team. And the more that I'm just thinking as we go, because that's what I do. All right, but the more I think about it, the more I like this hire. Okay, because Patricia comes from the Bill Belichick tree. Patricia knows that you got to play to players' strengths. Patricia is a no-nonsense type coach. That's what the Lions have needed. They need a Patriots guy on that team. All right. They have talent to make the playoffs. This is a team that should have been in the playoffs the last couple of years. All right. Who knows? Maybe Matt Patricia could convince Calvin Johnson to come back. Ooh, wow, what that would be. Imagine you got Patricia out there, the head coach. Stafford still looking like a great quarterback. All right. They need a running back. Defense is pretty set. They got to figure out what to do with Ezekiel Ansah. And you're like, hey, Calvin Johnson, I'm from the Patriots. We know how to do things. All right, come play for me again. Or come play for the team again. Man. Calvin Johnson coming back, people would start throwing around that Super Bowl contender term around with the Lions if that happened. All right. They would. Oh, boy, would they ever. Calvin Johnson coming back would be so great for the NFL, too. Dude's a top 10 all-time receiver, and he only played, 7 years, I feel like? Let's see, how many years did Calvin Johnson play? Let me search it up on my telephone. But nonetheless, I mean, I think that out of all the first-year coaches, it's going to be Matt Patricia who has the most success in his first year, I think. All right? These other teams still got stuff, a bunch of stuff they need to work with, all right? Pat Shurmur in New York still got to, let's see. All right, I got Calvin Johnson was in the league from 2007 to 2015, so about 8 years right there. All right, but going back to it, like I said, I think Matt Patricia is going to be the most successful, all right? Pat Shurmur still got to deal with a Giants team that was really injured this past year and had a lot of locker room trouble you got to fix up, got to change the entire culture, All right, Eli Manning's getting older. You got to figure out what to do in the draft. Do you go with a running back or do you draft Josh Rosen or Sam Darnold? I mean, depends who Cleveland picks, but nonetheless, you go rookie quarterback or do you go running back? All right, and just go with Eli as your guy for the next 2 years and hope you hit in a quarterback in the next 2 drafts. All right, then let's see, Arizona, no quarterback yet. Larry Fitzgerald's getting old. Not sure if he's going to come back. You're going to have David Johnson back, but other than that, I mean, Arizona's kind of a weird situation. All right. They do have a young defense with also some veterans. You do have your running back who's coming off of a season-ending injury, but he should be ready to go week 1. Now you got to fix up the tight end position. Like I said, they still need a quarterback. I'm not sure you go quarterback in the draft or you go Nick Foles. Trade for Nick Foles. All right. What is it? I think Arizona's got like the 14th pick in the draft. Maybe you give up the 14th pick for Nick Foles. Maybe you do that. I don't know. I don't think Nick Foles is like I don't know. Is Nick Foles worth the first round pick? I'm not sure. Let's see. Who else had jobs to give up? I mean, John Gruden, back with the Raiders. Completely forgot about that one. How's he going to do? I'm not sure. He's got probably about 4 or 5 years to do something. I mean, he's got a 10-year deal, so I don't think Mark Davis is going to cut him loose after 3 years like these other coaches do, or like these other front offices do with their coaches. I mean, John Gruden has a lot to work with a lot of time. I mean, he's getting paid $100 million. You can't just quit on him after 3 years. So, I mean, yeah, right now, Patricia's got the best team. It's just a matter of, I think, just changing the culture in that team. That's all you got to do, just change the culture. All right, Jim Caldwell, I think, Jim Caldwell's a good coach, but he's just past his time. All right, this is starting to turn into a millennial league, all right? We need the guys who think like millennials now. Look at Sean McVay out there taking the Rams to the playoffs in his first year. All right, had them playing the best offense out of anyone this season. All right, Matt Patricia, he changes the culture and pretty much gets everyone in line. Then this is a playoff team. Yeah, this is I'll say it right now. The Lions are a playoff team before the ball's even snapped. Okay, I think that highly of them, and I think they're going to do well. So I really like the hire, and I think Patricia's going to do well. It's going to be interesting to see how hands-on he is with the defense. Because I know now he's not just the defensive coordinator. Now you got to overlook the offense, the special teams, pretty much pay attention to it all. But I mean, the dude's a rocket scientist, so he's got to be pretty smart, right? So I mean, that's all I got to say about that. Just wanted to talk a bit about Matt Patricia and the Lions. I know we talked about a couple of other things, but nonetheless, I like the hire for the Lions, and I like how Matt Patricia didn't go back on his word. So that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to be talking about the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Back to the GSMC Football Podcast. So far, we talked about Josh McDaniels, we talked about Matt Patricia, and pretty much like the whole Josh McDaniels thing. All right, I know you guys probably want me to be quiet about it, but I mean it's a big story. All right, this is big. Like I don't even want to talk about it anymore. So you know what? I'm not. Let's talk about the good things. All right, let's talk about Matt Patricia being a man of his word. Now he's going to be coaching in the same division as Aaron Rodgers. That Mike Zimmer's in there. And then, like I said, you got the Chicago Bears, who are a young and developing team. All right? Aaron Rodgers is a scary quarterback. And speaking of him, the Packers kind of are starting to mess things up with him, I think. All right? Because you know what? Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. You had the Packers who, and this was like an all-time dumb move right here, an all-time dumb move. All right? as we know, Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. It could be argued that he is the best quarterback in the league as far as a talent standpoint goes, okay? You want to go and tell me that Tom Brady is more talented than Aaron Rodgers as far as all-around quarterback play? You're a liar. All right? Yeah, we could talk achievements and all that, and yeah, Tom Brady has all the yards and stuff like that, but if we're talking just pure talent, Aaron Rodgers is by far the most talented quarterback in this league. By far. All right? So obviously, when you got a guy like that on your team, you usually would consult him about things, right? You wouldn't keep him in the dark. It's almost like the Cavs when they used to have David Griffin and before Dan Gilbert ruined everything. All right? David Griffin said that he would consult LeBron James on moves because that's what you do, all right? You cater to your best player. All right? It's not, I know people don't like it. Fans don't like it. Oh, he's players. You just play and be quiet. No, that's not how it works. All right? So you do need to cater to your best player and pretty much, hey, what do you think about this? Should we do this or whatever? Just to keep the player happy. All right. So, connecting this back to Green Bay, the Packers fired their quarterbacks coach without telling Aaron Rodgers, without consulting him about it. Good old Aaron boy wasn't too happy about it, all right? Didn't like the fact that they fired the quarterbacks coach, whom Aaron Rodgers says they had a really tight relationship. All right, he says every quarterback has a really strong relationship with their quarterback's coach, and that's what him. And let me see if I can figure out the dude's name. Let me see. But getting back to the point, I mean, yeah, he just wasn't informed about it. So obviously, that didn't really sit well with Rodgers too much. And Rodgers isn't the type I should say, to pretty much sit back and cater to the team. He's not a guy who's going to take a home team or hometown discount or anything like that. So I think it was last week he came out and said that he couldn't guarantee that he would be with the Packers for his career. He said, you'll never know what happens or something like that, and pretty much left it at that. Obviously, I mean, if I had to put money on it, he'd be a Packer for life. All right? Because you just don't let someone like that go. But, I mean, with how the Packers have been going, I mean, everyone, like, it's been pretty much Mike McCarthy. All right? His name has been in the news year after year as far as, oh, are they going to keep him? Are they getting rid of him? What's going on with him? All right? And I just think that the Packers are currently wasting what they got with Aaron Rodgers. All right, this team should be a Super Bowl contender year after year, but they just haven't been able to get to the big game. I mean, they got there once, won that, and now it's pretty much, you got Stephen A. Smith on, I think it's Stephen A. Smith or Max Kellerman on First Take saying that Aaron Rodgers should demand a trade. And that's pretty much what got me thinking about this, like doing this segment about the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, should Rodgers demand a trade? I say probably not. All right. But, I mean, Rodgers, I think, should explore, like, just think about the possibility of playing for a different team. All right. Obviously, with this team not consulting him about firing their quarterback's coach, that shows kind of what they think of Aaron Rodgers. All right. Maybe they think, you know what, he's just a player. He doesn't need to be concerned in the decisions. All right. And I don't really believe in that too much. And the quarterback's coach that they got rid of was Alex Van Pelt. All right. So yeah, Alex Van Pelt and Aaron Rodgers had a really tight, close relationship, and the Packers said, we don't care. And I don't get why they didn't bring him back. All right. Like, it makes no sense to me there. That's a point right there where you're like, kind of like, you know what, maybe Aaron Rodgers should demand a trade. All right, because how are you not, like, it makes no sense now that and I think about it. Like, it's really starting to hit me right now that it makes no sense for the Green Bay Packers to get rid of their quarterback's coach at all, especially not telling Rodgers about it. All right, Rodgers, as the Packers should know, is going to be their quarterback for the near future. All right, that's their franchise player right there, Aaron Rodgers. All right, so obviously if you know that he's going to be the quarterback for the future for your team, why are you going to get rid of a guy who he's very close to and works with the quarterbacks? Why? It makes no sense whatsoever. Now I'm kind of leaning towards, yeah, Rodgers should demand a trade because moves like that are idiotic. Okay, let me tell you, they are dumb moves. All right, getting rid of a guy who's got a close relationship with his quarterback, all right, the best quarterback in the league, is ridiculous. So maybe, Stephen A. Smith and Matt Patricia might actually have me agreeing with them for once. All right, because honestly, I can't stand that show, to be honest. All right, but nonetheless, maybe Aaron Rodgers should demand a trade. All right, maybe that should be the case for him. I mean, like I said, I don't think he will, but nonetheless, obviously they don't think too highly of the guy if you're not consulting him. All right. And as far as the Packers go, I mean, they're really messing things up right now. And as far as like they go this season, I mean, now, like I said, in the last segment, Detroit's got to deal with Green Bay, Minnesota, and Chicago. Green Bay's got to deal with Detroit, Minnesota, and Chicago there. All right. Like I said, Detroit, I think, as of right now, again, it's way too early. Don't put any stock into what I'm saying about the playoffs next season or anything like that. But Detroit is a team that's going to be pretty scary. That's a team that could compete for the division. All right, all they need is some stability, and that's what Matt Patricia brings. Then the Vikings. Let's say that they keep Case Keenum, and Case Keenum actually turns out to be a good quarterback, and he can do it for more than one season. You got to worry about him. All right, Packers finished 7-9 this year. And Rodgers is hurt. Seems like starting to get the injury bug year to year, it feels like. Little thing here. I think that was the second time he's broken his collarbone, too. At least he broke something in that area before this. All right. So I'm sure Rodgers is fine. I mean, the guy's out here golfing now, so obviously he's not affected too much by his injury. So now he's ready. But like I said, now the Packers got to worry about what they're going to do this season. All right. You got to fix up the defense still. I think they're not going to pick up a running back to take over, all right, because Rodgers fixes a lot of those problems on offense. But I'm curious as to see what they do with Jordy Nelson or Randall Cobb. Okay, it's clear and cut. Devontae Adams is the number one receiver on that team. So what do you do? Do you keep Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, or you just keep them both and say whatever? I say that you keep Randall Cobb and you cut Jordy Nelson. All right, I think Jordy Nelson is on the downturn of his career. All right, still a nice little player, and maybe it was a large part of this season and his struggles was just due to the fact that he had Brett Hundley throwing him the ball. All right, but I think that it's a little bit more than that. I just think that Jordy Nelson's play is starting to diminish a bit. All right, Jordy Nelson, let me see if I could find his contract numbers. Because obviously, if he's making a bunch of money, then you got to get rid of him. Because like I said, he's not going to be the number one receiver anymore. Let me see if I can find it right here. All right, so I got a contract, 4-year, $39 million deal. Let's see, signed in 2014. So yeah, this next year is going to be his final year of the contract. All right, he's currently 32. Base salary is at $9 million. All right. Bonuses, I mean, workout bonus, $500,000. Roster bonus for making it $468,000. Signing bonuses, you got a $2.3 million signing bonus. His cap hit is at $12 million. That's what he's going to be taking off the books for the Packers. All right, $12 million. $12.5 million. Do you just want to just go through with it, fulfill the rest of the contract, and pay him $12.5 million, where he had probably the worst year of his career in 2017, where you were actually paying him less? All right, he was only $11.5 million cap hit last year. This year is $12.5. You want to do that, or let's see. I think if they were to cut him, they'd only have to in dead money. It'd only be $2.3 million in dead money. All right. If I'm the Packers, I'm cutting Jordy. All right. I consult Aaron Rodgers about it first because I'm a smart man, but I don't think that's what the Packers are going to be doing. So, I mean, if it comes down to Randall Cobb, let's see what Randall Cobb is making right now, too. I think Randall Cobb has a nice little contract with Green Bay. Randall Cobb contract. I love these websites too that have like all the contract details lined up. It's so fun to look at. All right, so Randall Cobb is on the last part of his deal. Randall Cobb is even a bigger cap hit, $12.7 million. Wow. Signed his deal at the same time as Jordy Nelson. Both got, I think Jordy Nelson, what was he? He had 4 years, $39 million. Cobb had 4 years, $40 million. This kind of throws a monkey wrench into it. I mean, if you cut Randall Cobb, you're still going to have more in dead money and $3 million. If you cut Jordy Nelson, then that's $2 million. Randall Cobb last year showed something still that he could still play well. All right. That game against Carolina, Rodgers came back. Randall Cobb had a great game there. I think Randall Cobb, even though they're both on the last part of their deal, I think you keep Randall Cobb because I think he has more to offer than Jordy Nelson does at this point in time. So like I said, I'd go with Cobb instead of Nelson. But nonetheless, Green Bay needs to smarten up and start consulting Rodgers about it. Because you know what? I do think that Rodgers should eventually leave the Packers and go somewhere, go to a good team. Like imagine, I'm just throwing out hypotheticals too. I'm just going through what's going through my mind right here. Imagine Rodgers demands a trade. He says, I want to go to Jacksonville. That team would win Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl if Rodgers somehow ended up in Jacksonville. All right. Now we got to make it happen. I'm going to start a little trend. Get Rodgers to Jacksonville on Twitter. Let's see. Rodgers is already 34 years old. Man. He doesn't play like it, though. Rodgers does not play like he's 34. Let's see. He's got 2 more years on his deal. He got 2018 and 2019. And he's getting paid $20 million a year. Let's see. He can't be cut, obviously, these next 2 years. So, I'm just thinking about how Rodgers is 34 years old. Can you guys believe that in 2 years, there's going to be a time where Matt Ryan is a top 5 quarterback in the league? Can you believe that? We only have probably 4 more years of Aaron Rodgers, I think. 5 more years. 5 more years at the most since he's 34. He could be a Tom Brady type. He's really young, but like I said, he doesn't play like he's 34 years old. I can't believe he's been in the league for that long. Plus, he sat out like the first, 5 years of his career, it felt like. So, I mean, you could add that on. All right, that's 5. So, technically, he's been around starting for 8-9 years. So, maybe he'll be able to last a little bit longer, actually, than usual. Maybe he could be a quarterback that lasts into his 40s like a Brady type. But nonetheless, if I'm Rodgers, I'm not demanding a trade yet or anything like that. But it's crossing my mind. I'm thinking about it because the Packers are starting to make some weird moves. And as far as them not consulting them, that's not the right way to go about it. So that's just all I got to say about that. Next up, we're going to be talking about National Signing Day. I'm going to go through the top recruiting classes. And we'll talk a bit about that mom walking out on her son as he picked Florida. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
Welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. So far in the show, we talked about Josh McDaniels, Matt Patricia, and we also talked about Aaron Rodgers. And for this segment, I'm going to go over the rankings for National Signing Day, and then we're going to talk a bit about parents who get too involved in their child's choice of where they're going to school to play football, and then we'll talk about the Steelers a little bit. So let's get into it. So Georgia has the number 1 recruiting class. Ohio State has the number 2. Texas is Texas back. They got the number 3 recruiting class. USC at number 4. Penn State at 5. Clemson at 6. Alabama at 7. Let's see. You got Miami at 8 is the U back. Oklahoma at 9, Notre Dame at 10, Florida State at 11, Auburn at 12, Washington 13, Florida 14, LSU 15. So that's what the top 15 is looking like right there as far as recruiting classes. Georgia is going to win a national title soon. All right. I don't think it's a matter of if, it's a matter of when. If they're already a team who played in the national title and gave Alabama a run for their money, all right, man, that was a great game right there. Georgia should have won that one. Georgia did win that one, right? I'm not forgetting it. Like, Tua did come back and take them back. Yeah. Alabama won that game. All right. Got to convince myself real quick. But nonetheless, I mean, Georgia with the number 1 recruiting class already being, like, this is like, Kirby Smart was just in his first year, all right? Here he is with his first recruiting class or second, whatever it is, and he's already got the number 1 recruiting class. Usually Alabama has that top spot. But no, here's Georgia. Georgia might be taking over college football in the near future, if we're being real about it. Texas, I got a weird thing with Texas, all right? Every year the question gets asked, is Texas back? Is Texas back? Is Texas back? All right? Maybe eventually, but with this recruiting class, but I mean, I don't really see them too much. I don't really think too much of them right now. As far as the U, would like to see the recruiting class a little bit higher, but 8 is all right. All right, so that's how the top 15 recruiting classes have went. Let's talk about the mom who walked out on her son's recruiting signing because you picked the wrong team. At least she thought. So yeah, like I said, I talked about it a little bit earlier in the beginning of the show. All right, can't remember the recruit's name. He's a 4-star receiver, and he was choosing between Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida. Mom has on an Alabama t-shirt or sweater, and then she's wearing like a beanie or a hat, I can't remember, of a Tennessee. Nothing Florida on, so recruit goes, picks up the hat, picks up the Florida hat, says he's going to Florida. Mom grabs her purse, gets up, and walks out in front of the camera, in front of the table, makes it known, I'm leaving. Didn't say it, but you could tell. She wanted to make it known. So then there's like just a weird situation, you know? Like, I got out of class earlier. Believe it or not, yes, I do go to school too. All right, I got out of class earlier, and I was checking Bleacher Report, checking the updates I got, and I see it, and I was like, wow, this seems interesting to me. So I check it. Pretty much was as bad as it sounds. All right, and that's one thing that we got to talk about. Parents getting mad because their child does not pick the school that the parents want their child to go to, or even the worst one is fans getting mad at recruits for not choosing their school and tweeting at them and saying all kinds of bad stuff to them. We got to stop that. All right. Remember, these are just kids. These dudes are younger than me now. I'm 21. It's crazy, too, now that I think about it. I'm 21 years old. Now I'm starting to see people that are younger than me in the NBA and pretty much people going into the draft that are younger than me. It's just a crazy thing. But nonetheless, fans got to realize that they're just fans. All right. It's just college football. And college football fandom is honestly kind of crazy. All right. I wouldn't consider myself, I wouldn't like say I'm like a fan of a certain team in college football. I just enjoy watching each game. All right. I'm pretty much rooting for a team that way. But, I mean, if you go on Twitter or even look on the TV and stuff like that, the fans are crazy. I mean, have you ever watched the Paul Feinbaum show? That show is on ESPNU, I think. I'm not sure if it's on every day or anything like that, but sometimes I'll be flipping channels and I'll see the Paul Feinbaum channel and I'll look and he's taking calls. Dude, those fans are crazy. They're yelling at him, saying all kinds of stuff about how he's wrong, like not even having a civilized discussion. Just pretty much saying whatever they want. All right. And it's just crazy, dude. College football fans do not mess around. Like, it's pretty much college football fans would like die for their teams. All right. I used to be that way about my NFL team, and now I've kind of grown up and realized, yeah, that's not cool, really. I mean, being that much of a fan, being that much into it. But, I mean, these are like 50-year-old people. Like, the SEC fans are crazy. Not like bad crazy. I'm not saying like SEC fans are like bad type of crazy. They're just crazy for their teams. All right? I mean, Tennessee fans, I've noticed on Twitter, it's kind of amusing. You go and you see someone say something bad about Tennessee, and they're attacking you like a wild pack of dogs, dude. They do not take any disrespect about Tennessee. And I kind of have like a little mini personal rivalry with Tennessee too. I can't stand Tennessee if we're being real on this podcast, all right? If they ever get good, whenever that may be, I'll say all the great things about them, all right? But there's this whole, because let's put it this way, okay? I was born in 96. really remember college football from about the Vince Young game and on. Vince Young game being the Rose Bowl against USC. That's like my first real memory is watching college football. All right, so I was about 8 years old at the time, something like that, 9 years old, around there. I think it was 2005, so yeah, 9 years old. So that's the first memory I have of college football. From that point on to now, Tennessee has never really been a good team. All right, not at all. A little overrated to me, if you ask me. All right, everyone talking about, Tennessee, they finally got the good recruiting class. They're going to be able to do it. I remember Lane Kiffin going there, and that blew up in their face. I never really understood the hype of Tennessee. Then I talked to a few older people, and they told me, Tennessee used to be the cream of the crop back in the 70s. And I was like, the 70s. Cool. What was that, about 30-something years ago? 40 years ago? I never understood the hype with Tennessee. I get they used to be good. That's cool, but, I don't know. I'll never understand it. They're not a top team in the SEC. Didn't they go winless in the SEC this year? Something like that? Let's see. Let's go standings. NCAA football standings. Let me see if I can find it on Sports Illustrated's fine and dandy website. Tennessee 0-8 in conference play. Yeah, so Tennessee is not. They're not. They're not good. All right. But nonetheless, if they ever get good, you'll hear me saying all the great things about them on the podcast because I'm a very civilized and unbiased person. All right. But nonetheless, that was my college football talk right there. Let's go back to the NFL a bit. Let's talk about the Steelers. Believe it or not, they are trying to give Le'Veon Bell a contract, and they're also trying to extend Big Ben's contract. And I understand those both completely. They need to get Le'Veon Bell's contract done before anything else, and then you can worry about Ben Rothlisberger's. All right, let's go to that fancy schmancy website with the contracts and look at Big Ben's contract. All right, and I'm kind of like iffy on giving Big Ben an extension unless he's down, his deal's up after this year or something like that. Let's see. So he's got up until 2019. 2019 is the last part of his deal. All right. Is Big Ben even going to be playing by that time? I think Big Ben is more of a maybe the Steelers extend him just in case and give him the opportunity to retire if that's what he wants. Big Ben the last 2 years it feels like has been entertaining the retirement talk. All right, I'm not sure. Got to wait and see. All right, I love the game, but not sure if I want to be out here still. And I'm not telling you like actual quotes or anything like that. It's just how he talks. All right. So, yeah, he's still, the last year of his deal is in 2019. I say, go ahead and extend him probably till 2000 like a Drew Brees type of thing that they're going to do with him, all right? Because right now Drew Brees is still a free agent, but it's looking like he's going to be ended up in New Orleans, all right? So, you give Drew Brees what the Saints are going to do. They're going to be giving like 1 to 2 year deals at a time, all right? See how it goes from there. That's what the Steelers need to do. Probably add 1 more year to Big Ben's contract. Then let's say he lasts till 2020. He's like, I want to go again. I want to play again another year. Give him another year. Just keep doing it that way. Don't be giving him like a 3-year extension on his deal or anything like that. That would be ridiculous. You go, give the guy about 2 years more, maybe a year extra, like I said, for that 2020 year, and then see how it goes from there. Because the dude's been entertaining retirement talk for the last couple of years, like I said. So I'm not really sure what kind of deal they're going to give him, but like I said, it should be only 2 years at the most, 1 year, I think, logically, as an extension, all right? So that's going to wrap it up for today's podcast. Today we talked about Josh McDaniels, talked about Matt Patricia and the Lions, talked about Rodgers and how the Packers are kind of messing up that little relationship they got going on there, talked about college football, the recruiting rankings, and talked about how I think Tennessee is one of the most overrated programs in college football right now, as far as the hype that they get. We also talked about Big Ben getting a contract extension. So that's, like I said, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks for listening to the GSMC Football Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jesse Tapia. We'll be back on Friday, so stay tuned till then, and we'll talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.GSMC.com. GSMCpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.